Today we get a taste of heaven with Dr. Mary Neal. She was a spine surgeon and a whitewater kayaker. And when she plunged over a waterfall, the boat's nose wedged between two rocks at the base of the falls. In 10 feet of water, with the immense pressure of the water pouring down upon her, bending her double over the front of her boat, she knew that she was going to die. She felt her bones breaking and her ligaments tearing, and she completely surrendered the outcome to God. She said, "The moment I asked God's will be done, I was immediately and very physically held by Christ, reassured that everything would be fine." And she reported feeling no fear or pain in those minutes. Instead, she says, "I was overcome with an absolute feeling of calm and peace and a very physical sensation of being held in someone's arms. Held and comforted by Jesus. I understood perfectly how Jesus could be there holding and comforting me and could similarly be present for any other person who called on him for help at the same time anywhere else in the world. I just understood how that could be." And after 14 minutes in the water, Mary's body finally broke free of the kayak and tumbled down the rapids. And she felt herself rise above the water. And she was immediately greeted by a group of people in white. She said, absolutely exploding with pure love. It was a welcoming committee to make me feel loved and comfortable. These were people that she had known earlier in her life but had died. Mary observed that they seemed physical, not spirits, and she reported that the intensity, depth, and purity of these feelings, these sensations that she had were far greater than I could ever describe with words or anything like I've ever experienced on earth. Her lifeless body back on the riverbank, surrounded by her friends gathered around, crying out to her. She said, "They seemed so terribly sad and vulnerable. I heard them calling to me and begging me to take a breath. I didn't want them to be so sad, and so I asked my companions to wait while I returned to my body. And I lay down and I took a breath." Now, that started almost a year of surgeries and physical therapy to recover from those injuries in the water. Now, last week we saw St. Paul's account of heaven and a heavenly body after he was stoned to death outside the city of Troas and then resuscitated. In Mary Neal's account, we see her die, but then return to her mortal body. Let's call that mortal body Body 1.0, okay? We also see the heavenly body. I guess we can call that Body 2.0. She said of her friends who greeted her, they were radiating a brilliance that was indescribable, like the northern lights. They had a physical form, but the edges were a little indistinct. It was translucent, pearlescent, and shimmery, a light born of love. I don't quite know how else to describe it. But Paul also speaks of Body 3.0. In 1 Corinthians 15, he describes how our bodies will be resurrected like Jesus's on Easter, in which he walked with Cleopas and Mary on the road to Emmaus, in which he rejoined his friends for a meal in the upper room, the body that Thomas was able to touch his wounds that were still evident in his resurrected form. Now, if you're feeling the limitations of Body 1.0, take time today to imagine your Body 2.0 and 3.0. That's today's Lenten vision, and I'll see you tomorrow.